Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jewelers reimagines family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Working one-on-one, Duke's designers honor the original story while creating something fresh and modern. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com, where old stories become new treasures.
We're joined now by Tim LaComb, former BYU assistant on Rick Majerus' staff at Utah as well. Now you hear him on Jazz Pre, Half, and Post. Tim, good morning.
Good morning.
We were just discussing your boy, Tommy Lloyd. What is he going to do? Is Arizona going to win it all? Is he going to bolt for North Carolina? It seems like all eyes are on him right now.
Yeah, they are. And, it's one of those unique situations. I think North Carolina's at least guys around our age, and Tommy's close to my age. That North Carolina carries kind of a different meaning, and obviously the Jordan brand and Jordan and everything else. So I would assume that is something that he will deal with at some point. Hold on one second.
Sha la 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 la. Let's
okay.
go for today.
So I think. Yeah, sorry. I think his his focus, like he said right now, and I buy Tommy on this. He's pretty amazing to focus on what's at hand. And will they win one? I think they look pretty poised to do so, but I would say Michigan does too. I think those two teams, in my mind, probably have the best chance. So we'll see. But I'm really excited for Tommy, having known him for 20 years, and all of a sudden he's kind of like in the epicenter of the college basketball world.
Did you go to LaComb, Texas last night with Willie and Waylon and the boys?
I was playing Waylon. I tried to call you. I was doing a little rambling, man. I got that one figured out. So, 2 or 3 hours alone, I'm in my guitar room. So I was trying to mess with you, PK.
I was unavailable at that moment, but I did get back with you. What do you know about Jacobson, the coach at Utah State?
I don't know him. I've met him before. I don't know him great. We played, you and I, one time. We played him out in Hawaii for the Diamond Head Invitational one of those years. And I can tell you this, his teams, when I heard the name, I was like, man, that's kind of a throwback to Stu Morrill. Really, really physical, really detailed, innovative. He's a guy who is kind of on the front end of stuff, but I mean, he is a guy who has strung together 400 wins at a place that, when he walked in there, I'm sure he wondered how he's going to win one. But over a period of time has really become a name in college basketball, and it's not a name that I'd even thought of. I was kind of on the search for young guys. But it makes a lot of sense, and I see him as a guy maybe that will stick around, for a handful of years and actually kind of do it to where they can pass it off, and get a little bit more control of that. But it's worked out well for him, and I think they hired a really, really good coach, another really, really good coach that will do big things in Logan.
How important do you think it is that they got $3.9 million in buyout with the coach leaving, and then apparently spent $0 on the coach arriving? That seems like a little bit of a windfall that the Aggies ought to be able to use to their advantage in an era when the old school recruiting you went through is only important if the money is the same. And if the money's different, well, then the money tends to speak.
Yeah. I had heard rumors that at least $2.5 million of that was going to Scott Gerard. So, just in a lengthy contract negotiation that they're finally able to pay the man.
And he deserves it, don't he?
Oh, he's got a voice of an angel. It's velvet. It's literally velvet.
With Izzo and Hurley doing their thing, as like this NCAA tournament run has been fun to watch, obviously, and then you've got the deal, a little sideline note to it, coaching players hard. And what is acceptable? What do players want in terms of being coached hard? Because those two guys do it.
I think it's unique. We had guys that would come through and could take just about anything, and then we'd had guys that come through, and if you looked at them cross, they'd cry. So you kind of have to figure out who you got. But I think the biggest thing, guys, is especially this day and age, I think there's a relationship required. I think in order to jump into somebody and you see, and hear that off the court, these guys are a little better at probably than in the old days. I mean, Rick would blow everybody up and then he'd go get in a separate car and we'd all get on the bus and you wouldn't see him for a day, These guys go to dinner with these kids. I know that it's a big push, obviously, with this generation, too. Communication's massive. And the old school of, hey, I'll tell you when I tell you, that doesn't work anymore. And so I think these guys have done a great job. If you're going to coach kids hard, I think you got to have a great relationship. You got to build a relationship with them, one of understanding. But I found that most kids want to be coached. They want to be told. And I think the unique piece for every coach is how do you do that? Some drive it home with a hammer, and others are, more technical. So I think the key is be yourself. Don't be somebody you're not. Don't be a jerk just to be a jerk. But I have felt through my experience that at the end of the day, players, probably would even say, I wish it would have been a little harder on me, to help me recognize or realize it. Again, nothing demeaning, but just something with urgency to make them understand how important little aspects of the game are.
How long does it take a coach to drive themselves into a dead end because Bobby Knight had that reputation for a long time and it was probably well earned and he won for a long time, but then eventually it just ran its course and good players didn't want to play for him and they were going other places. And I've seen Izzo interviewed enough that I feel like I can see that other side to his personality. If he goes crazy during a game, I think I've seen other stuff too. I haven't seen that so much with like Cronin at UCLA or Hurley. Hurley's won so much, I suppose he probably has it. Do you think any of these coaches have a shorter shelf life?
Man, that's a great question. I think you can do a lot of things, and I will quote one of my good friends in coaching. Told me this a long time ago. He said they will forgive just about everything, but they will not forgive losing. I mean, and if you look at the pattern, when Rick was here, he was the mayor of the city and having dinner with billionaires and living the high life. And, the minute they stopped winning, what became way more vocal was his treatment of players. You didn't hear about, because I promise you, he was the same dude when I was there with Andre and Keith. And to his credit, he was harder on Keith, one of our best players, than he was on just about anybody, and that's rare. But I think when you stop winning, if Hurley stops winning, nobody's putting up with his charade or his antics. And I think that's the great differentiator. You stop winning at a high level, and people stop buying your game.
Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The RealReal.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The RealReal? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 38 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The RealReal than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The RealReal. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And right now, you can get an extra $100 site credit when you sell for the first time. Go to therealreal.com to get your extra $100. Therealreal.com. That's therealreal.com.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Understood, and that's a fact. We're talking about the effects of A.J. DeBonsa on BYU, and was it worth it? You know, we think absolutely it was, for all the things that he has the opportunity to influence the program for years to come. What's your take?
Not just yes, but hell yes. That was I mean, I ask people this all the time. What would it have cost to get a full, a banner ad in Times Square, just that alone, with a BYU mark on it. And I think the AJ thing worked great. I find it funny that people, rip that it didn't work. I mean, there were a lot of reasons that it didn't work, and I think it would have worked better had Richie Saunders been around to see the end of the season for sure. But when you start talking about, I don't think people quite understand how hard it is to get a high-level player like that, to come and say yes to your place. And people will throw in, and DJ, you said it, money is a factor. There's zero doubt about it. If you're not in the game money-wise, if you're not near, it's almost like bidding on a house. You got to be in that. You got to be in that little area that is acceptable, and then you'll be brought in to negotiate, and you'll talk, and I'm sure you work against other teams. But how hard it is to get a guy like that, who will be the first player in the draft and should be. I mean, after watching all of this, there is nobody that I've seen that acclimates as well to the pro game. And then when you compound that 2 years in a row now with two guys that have come in here sight unseen, no understanding other than recruiting of what BYU is. And to go through the season, Yegor got drafted, and then not only got drafted, but he's had a good year. His future in the league looks to be something that, is a little more certain than when you first get drafted. You just don't know a lot of the variables. But to get 2 first-round picks, 2 very, very highly sought-after players to come to Provo, Utah 2 years in a row, and then follow that up with another one, I think the process is now figuring out how you build around that guy. And you may not get it perfect the first time, but the reps are really important. Getting guys to say yes, come and figure it out. And I do think there are some things they can work on in the reps, and I've seen names in the portal that I would assume BYU is going to be involved in that make sense to them. Even local guys that have can help build that backbone that BYU should have of development players. And so I think it has been not just, great. I think it's been program changing in a lot of ways. When they show 4 schools that have offered these big players, and BYU is one of those logos with, the Dark Lords of Kentucky and the Blue Bloods in North Carolina. You see all those names in BYU's logo there. Some major, major stuff has changed. So to isolate it, to say, BYU didn't win the league and they didn't win a conference tournament game, you're way behind the race, because there's another kid coming in next year and they're going to build around him better. And KY is a hell of a coach. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. So, yes, that was a long-winded answer, but I wanted to explain why.
Sure.
Okay.
AJ was perfect for this, and it will continue. BYU, when Kevin said it the very first press conference and people in that room looked around cross-eyed like, what is he talking about? Mm-hmm. We're going to bring pros here? Well, he's doing it. He's done it. He's had success doing it, and it'll continue.
Let's dive a little deeper into putting a better team around the next star and the star after that. As you look at this tournament, Illinois clearly leans on some foreign talent. Is that the way to go? Duke has leaned on multiple young pros, but their team's been really young, and freshmen have had turnovers in big points in key games. I mean, they've gone Elite Eight and Final Four. They haven't been terrible, but they want the big prize and they haven't gotten that. The get old, stay old. UConn probably has fewer pros, but they probably got an older roster too. How would you build a team going forward? What's the best path? Or is it just get it right? You can commit to any of these paths, but you got to have the right guys when you commit to the path.
Well, I think it's a little bit of that, DJ. But I will say that I think the get it right piece, is not like building a Lego tower, where there's 40 pieces sitting there and all you have to do is plug them in. There's a lot of searching involved. And, I used to laugh because at the time, Travis Hansen, who's now one of the guys at BYU, he was always go public while we were there. They need to recruit Europe more and all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, look, I don't care where you go, but you need to find players. And at the time, any European player of value at that time came over here with two things, a backpack and their handout. Because if you're going to bring a European player, there was a lot to it. And there was not just, hey, do you want a scholarship? Okay, here's the honor code. Sign that. Okay, it looks like we're good there. Let me stamp your ecclesiastical form. Okay. And where did you say you're from? Oh, Russia. Okay. There's just so much to it. And we couldn't, navigate that in the old world. And people would always why don't you recruit Europe more? And I didn't want to come out and say, well, because everybody else is recruiting Europe and bringing European players here, paying them. So would you like us to do that? These high-level Sabonuses and things like that. So, again, I don't care where you get them, but the beauty part now is BYU has there's no walls around anything. And I think they do have really great knowledge. I mean, Justin Young, he knows players. He knows where they are and who they are and how to get to them. So, yeah, it's just about getting it right. It's about getting the right guys, the right chemistry. I loved how AJ's demeanor changed over the year. I know Kevin really coached that up. But guys that are coachable, guys that aren't going to look at you and say, no, I'm only here for 8 months. And I think that's what I've seen over the last couple of years at BYU with Mark and with Kevin is, you don't want to bring in mercenaries. I wouldn't bring a guy in here that's just going to be okay for 8 months. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's why in my mind, you go get a guy who really wants to be here, can play, maybe not play as good as that guy, but in 2 years and learning your vocabulary and practicing with you and pushing your other players. I just think there's so much value in that.
Okay, so I'm a little confused, Tim. Are you talking about maybe back off the high-level guy and spread the money out instead of paying one guy a whole lot?
No. I'm saying, get your high-level guy, but I'm saying in the other positions, like your Kennard Davis guys or your, the big they signed from the G League for 5 months or just those guys, just mercenary guys that are here for one reason. They're here to just play ball. And make it bigger than that. Bring guys in and they're here to play ball and help your team get better. And if they don't play, that they're not going to destroy things. Or, like the Catchings kid last year, that was worth a try because he's a young kid. But, that's a long-winded answer from a coach who did it a long time. But I do think the key to it is get it right. And get it right that's not a given. BYU had a much better team beginning this year than they did at the end because of injury. And I do believe Dawson Baker and Richie Saunders would have made a world of difference if they would have been healthy.
What about the theory that if you're not going to get outbid, go get 3 pros? And that's what Arizona and Duke are doing. I mean, Arizona's not, as PK brought this up earlier, Arizona's not get old, stay old. Arizona's get several high-level young guys and then sprinkle a couple veterans around them.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. And if if that is something from a perspective of spending that they can do, I mean, again, there's all sorts of ways to do it. But I do think any of the ways that you do it, particularly at BYU, I think the hidden gem is you can really build a squad that comes in with the ability to play, but over a period of time, like we saw time and time again. And Jimmer Fredette came in as a 2-star player, and he finished as the best player in college basketball. And so that's kind of what you try to bet on, is some of these guys that maybe don't have the lineage, the name, the recruiting prowess, but man, they want to come to BYU in the worst way, and they'll work to get better.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. That makes sense. That's what BYU basically was built on, but the world is different now. You wonder, even if those guys, Dallin Hall left. I'm not saying it was a wrong decision by any stretch, but in the old days, would he have stayed and just felt like, okay, I'm a senior, I don't want to sit out, and so, I'll find my way to work, make sure I get playing time. And obviously with the injuries, he would end up at as much playing time as he could have handled, but he didn't know that at the time. I just wonder, if the world is so different, how possible that is. I agree with what you're saying, but I wonder if it can actually be accomplished. Yeah,
it is definitely something to kick around. But if all else fails, man, the one piece that is real is BYU's opened, their doors in a big way the last few years to high-level athletes, both, football, basketball players that, again, at one point in time, BYU couldn't even get in the front room. So it's big, and now, you just continue to tweak it. But I would say 2 years, 2 tournaments, and 2 wins in 2 years in the tournament. That's a really good start for Kevin, and it'll only continue to get better. I really do believe that.
Tim, we appreciate it as always. Thanks for joining us. We will hear you on Jazz games going forward.
That's right. I've got 6 left after tonight, but who's counting?
Better days are coming.
You are apparently.
And then we're golfing, guys, okay? I'm moving to Salt Lake, so I'll be closer to you kids.
All right. Now you're talking. All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, guys.
There's Tim LaComb, former BYU assistant coach, now on the Jazz pre, half, and post-game shows right here on The Zone. And the Jazz are playing Denver tonight at 7 o'clock, and he'll be on there at 6 with Jake. DJ and PK, stay with us. We're talking BYU football with Mitch Harper at the top of the hour right here on The Zone.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.